Hey fools. So it's been a long ass time since I really did much on YouTube. I have been primarily doing a bunch of other things with my life. And I used to spend a lot of time doing video diaries and things like that, talking about things that I had learned, trying to have an educational, useful channel, which I never really succeeded in. It was a lot more, ugh, here's what's going on with me. And I swore I would stop doing that because it seemed that the more transparent I was about my journey, about what was stressing me out, about what I was failing through, even though I think that's quite brave, the more I did that, the more I felt completely incapable of teaching anyone anything or considering myself a teacher or a healer or a coach or a light worker or anything like that. So I told myself I wouldn't do that anymore, and I kind of shut down for some years, actually. It's probably been about 2 years since I've really done anything with YouTube-y stuff. So here I am. I just kind of thought, why not? I spend tons of time watching other people just babble. And I do want to create some more useful content. I want to create more educational, unique videos about things that I want to share with the world, about tips, tricks, and techniques for surviving in this crazy world as a person like me. But this video, I'm pretty sure this is just going to be a diary. I thought it would be really useful for me to have a sense of where I'm at in March of 2020. Maybe I can look back in 6 months and be amazed. Maybe I can look back in a year and be amazed. Either way, I just wanted to give myself permission to do this uncomfortable thing and just relax into it. This is still really hard for me, talking to a camera, talking to an audience, talking to a camera, or whatever. I still have a lot of brain fog issues, so my memory recall and my word recall, my phrasing recall, I don't speak so smart anymore. I'm trying to get my brain back. That's part of this journey in this diary, but it makes it really uncomfortable for me to speak to a camera. So I'm trying to force myself to do things that are uncomfortable, which I am all about. Hey, live louder and all that. And I'm trying to allow myself at the same time to do something that would be fun for me, which is talking about myself. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't deny that I really like talking about myself and just talking. And I think actually also on a physical and nervous system level, and even on a spiritual level, kind of getting that fifth chakra unlocked and just talking, just letting it out, just sharing your truth, sharing your experiences, sharing your reality can be really healthy and a really good way to get more in alignment with yourself and learn more about yourself and just kind of get that energy moving. So here we are. Welcome to my 3.5 minute intro. So, Fear Diary. Dear Fool's Log 2020. I should really name this video that. Anyway, things have been fucking bonkers, first of all. We are in the States, in Seattle right now, in the middle of the pandemic. Seattle has not yet been fully locked down and quarantined. There is no shelter in place yet for us, but everyone is encouraged to stay home as much as possible. And I was already staying home for about a month because I recently decided to go on a very restrictive diet that included taking out alcohol. So I've been kind of avoiding people for a long time. Not entirely intentionally, I've just been focused on my body, you know. So I've been at this for 45 days, so a month and a half. And meanwhile, we are, I'd say, like a week or like 2 weeks into the pandemic and about a week into the quarantine stuff. And I feel like I am on every personal development journey that I can be on right now. If there's different areas of your life that you kind of tackle one at a time, maybe some of them interact with the others, you know, maybe you're Maybe you're working on your career and your romance life. Maybe you're working on your community and your passions or something. I've got them like all stacked up together right now. It is humbling. It is challenging. It is out of this world surreal. I feel like I went from one life that was very much one way to another life that is completely different in the span of a month, a little over a month. And not everything has changed, and not everything is falling apart or anything like that, but it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. So the storyline of what I've recently been through is that, good Lord, well, where do we start? In a way, this might be a getting to know me video for anyone who isn't familiar with me and might be coming to live louder as a coachee, as someone who is being coached by me or someone who's interested in learning more about my coaching services. I got a backstory. Some of that's going to come out here. Maybe I will tell that backstory in more of a purposeful, intentional, focused, this is my manifesto kind of situation. That seems like a better place for that. For me, the context of what's going on now is that I did kind of spend the last 6 years being just out. I checked out in so many ways, which is weird because it felt like I was checking in. For about 10 years, I was in a monogamous, kind of codependent and very enmeshed relationship. We didn't go out much. We spent all of our time with each other, and that was perfect for us. I was happy about it. Except when I wasn't. Except when I was relying on that person for everything I needed. That fell apart, and once I was single, I started going out on my own. I went out a lot. I should say that breakup was probably one of the worst things that has ever happened to me, the worst things that I've ever caused and done. So that was a massive trauma in my life. And right afterwards, I kind of slowly but quickly started getting into drinking a lot more, going out a lot more, eating out a lot more, spending a lot more, having a lot more friends, a massive jump in my social circle. You know, went from like maybe 1 to 5 people to like hundreds and hundreds of people in the Seattle music scene. And I spent a lot of time just out of my house. I spent a lot of time out of my body through drinking. I spent a lot of time out of my body through working and adding projects to my life and just trying, well, not intentionally, but possibly unconsciously, trying to drown out my pain and my uncertainty and my inability to be present and slow and alone and sober and quiet, and just trying to drown that out with passion projects, supporting the music scene, being in a band, going out all the time, eating, drinking, spending all the time, watching TV, all this stuff that I wasn't really doing a whole lot of before. I ended up doing a whole lot of afterwards. And I, immediately got into other partnerships and lost myself in those and tried to become who that person wanted and who that person needed. And many of those relationships were very, very stressful, very manipulative. And I, as a people pleaser who hadn't healed and who just was damaged in this loss of a big 10-year relationship, I lost myself. I never developed myself. It's so weird. So, also, I had dealt with anxiety and depression before that breakup, and I had dealt with food issues before that breakup, as in like food sensitivities and just having panic attacks out of nowhere and only being able to solve that by taking a bunch of food out of my diet. I was in therapy, so I've been fucked up forever. But I was definitely fucked up before that breakup. After that breakup, I think I really continued to just fuck myself up more. I forget where I was going with that. I love my brain right now. I love you, brain. You want to remember for me? You want to remember for me? Yeah. Anyway. So, oh right, yeah, I basically went back on my old shitty diet. So, I'm eating all the dumb stuff, I'm binge drinking constantly, I am constantly moving, running about, going around the city. I just never slow down. I could barely read a book. I couldn't keep my schedule. I couldn't remember to pay my bills. I racked up so much debt. So much debt. Basically, I'm running on trauma body, trauma brain, trauma nervous system or whatever. Everything is about, I'm kind of locked into this fight, flight, freeze mode in a way. I guess for me it was primarily flight. And so I'm locked into this flight mode. And I had, in that time, so many wonderful, beautiful, powerful experiences. And they were the types of experiences that when I was in that relationship and not doing very much, I would get so excited and feel so special about, like, this one thing that happened a month. Like, we'd go out to a show once a month and I'd be like, this is the best thing ever. And when I was out of that relationship and started getting involved in the music scene here and involved in a social community, I remember thinking, wow, we're at a show and I know like 7 people here. I am not kidding you. I was so stoked. And I remember talking to my boyfriend at the time, and the number kept going up, and he kept kind of laughing at me like, good for you, like, weirdo. And at some point I was like, I know 20 people in this room. And it meant so much to me because I was never popular. I was never super connected. I've always had social anxiety. I've always had a negative opinion of myself and thought nobody really liked me. And I just wasn't very well connected in any kind of community my whole life. So once I started getting involved in the Seattle music scene, I fell in love. And I started having those beautiful, special, unique, rare experiences, like, 5 times a week, sometimes 3 times a day, and I was just like feeding my soul that way, trying to. And in a lot of ways, I think there were beautiful, true, powerful, life-changing aspects of that lifestyle that I led for pretty much 6 years straight, 6.5 even. And I have had hundreds, probably thousands, in 6 years, tens of thousands, I don't know, lots of thousands of really powerful, positive experiences, exciting moments, beautiful things. But now that I'm where I am now, I realize that the degree to which I was out there, the degree to which I was adding all of this stimulus to my life, all of these obligations, all of these connections, all of this stuff to do, the degree to which I was doing that was very unhealthy. I think it was addictive and a flight response. I think it was a trauma response. And now that I'm here, it's like, oh God, I really fucked myself up. And I'm in a place now in my life where I'm asking what of that lifestyle is worth keeping and what is actually more damaging than satisfying. So I've had health problems for a long time, mostly anxiety, depression, on and off, and weird food stuff, stomach stuff, and brain fog the brain fog's actually been around for like 3 or 4 years. I have ADHD-like symptoms. I have OCD-like symptoms. I've been diagnosed for ADD. I don't think I could get diagnosed for OCD, but I think there are some crossover comorbid things going on there. So I've had all these health problems, and everything kind of finally came to a head when I don't know, this year, I guess. I don't know why it was suddenly, okay, this is too much, you know? Maybe it came from, you know, trying 100 times to quit drinking, trying 1,000 times to stop spending so much money, or to stay inside my apartment for once and just read a fucking book. It just became very clear that the life I was living financially is unsustainable, sanity wise is unsustainable. I went back to therapy a number of times because I was actually scared. I was terrified of how I was like losing time, not even while I was drinking, just every day, you know. I was stressed out. I was feeling strange sensations in my body, and I think most of all the two things that were the sort of cinchers, is that a word? They were the last straw on the camel's back, I guess. That's the metaphor, right? Was recognizing that it's become really hard to do my job in my career. First of all, it's become really hard to be a designer. I'm a freelance designer right now, and I've been in UI UX design and development for the past 14 to 16 years, depending on when you start counting. And I have trained to become a life coach. I've trained to be a life coach. I am a life coach, technically, right now. I have clients. But it became really clear that if I can't nip this brain fog issue in the bud, I am not only not going to succeed as a coach, but I'm going to fail in my career, in the thing that sustains me, and the thing that keeps me alive, my fallback, my everything in a way. And I've always been really grateful to have kind of a brain-based, a thinking-based job, a thinking-based career, even though I have found that I really want to get more exercise, and I don't really want to stare at a screen for 40 hours a week, and I want to get more sun and things like that. Despite that, it's not killing my body, you know? It's something that, as long as I can keep this good, I can keep going. Now, this is suffering. My brain is suffering. So it just all came to a head. I realized I had to change something. And on top of that, my physical health has been yikes. I am 36, about to turn 37. It's not young, but it's not old. You know, I shouldn't groan every time I get out of bed and step on my feet. I shouldn't be having brain fog like this. I shouldn't have neurological issues. I shouldn't have joint pain, you know. It shouldn't be hard and painful to stretch. I shouldn't be tired all of the time, even if I get 10 hours of sleep every night. So, and like every meal shouldn't be making my stomach hurt. So I did some research, and my sort of self-diagnosing has changed, or my self-diagnosis focus has changed over the years. Like for a while it was panic attacks and anxiety, then it became ADD, then it became CPTSD, and now it's leaky gut. All of which, I should add, are completely related and could very well be the same diagnosis. I do still have all the symptoms of ADD. I do still have all the symptoms. I have complex PTSD. That's like a for sure definite. I've read enough books about it now. Like, that just completely describes my situation. It's also, even though it's not in the DSM, it's a very obvious diagnosis for a lot of people. And leaky gut, I don't know, some people might say it's real, some people might say it's not real. Seems like it's pretty scientifically based to me at this point, but there's not as much talk about it, and there's not as many books or resources about it as maybe some other things. So once I did enough research, I kind of went, oh wow, CPTSD and leaky gut. Okay, this is where I'm at. This is all completely related. This would explain my neurological symptoms. It explains my sinus problems. It explains the psoriasis that I had going on my scalp. It explains the joint pain. It explains the fatigue. Did I say emotional dysregulation? Lots of things. The gut, what I've learned, and I'm not going into detail because even though I know this information, I'm not going to be able to repeat it without fucking it up. Because brain fog! The gut and the brain are so deeply interconnected. There are more nerves going from the gut to the brain than from the brain to the gut. Our gut is basically a second brain. And I've been feeding it booze, which is so much more damaging than they tell us when we're kids. And I've been feeding it tons of gluten and dairy, both of which are known to be bad for more people than we expect. And I also know personally, based on immediate negative reactions that my body has, that they're very fucking bad for me. So basically, I've fucked up my gut on a number of levels, and I'm trying to heal it so that I can heal the rest of my body and I can heal my brain so that I can continue to so that I can actually get a good start on living the life I want to be living in the purpose that I want to be living it in. I am really grateful for my design career, but I want to do something, I desperately want to do something more heart-centered, something more activist, and something that I'm good at. Something that is truly exciting for me and life-changing for me and for others. Making websites just doesn't do that. So all of this effort, all of this struggle, all of this stress, realizing, kind of waking up in a life where I have massive amounts of debt, or I can make good income, but I can't get the hours in because I'm too tired and too foggy. A life where I am actively wasted potential. I'm sitting here and my potential feels like it's just draining out my toes into the fucking ground. And it's felt like that kind of my whole life, but it's really felt like that the past number of years, that I decided that I didn't want to just be a designer or to just be a vocalist, or to just be a partner to somebody, you know what I mean? So, like I said, it's all really come to a head, and I think realizing that I'm not going to get anywhere unless I fix my body and unless I fix my brain and get a handle on my emotions, then I am going to struggle, suffer, make things worse, maybe end up on the fucking streets or living with my parents, you know? Possibly give myself an autoimmune disorder, like have a serious chronic illness, which seems like, from what I've read, that's where I was putting myself on the path to, and might even have one, I don't know yet. And I think I'm kind of going into this explanation because, not just to kind of set up the diary, not just to set up the story, but because for so long I couldn't understand why I didn't have the willpower and what I called the integrity to stick to my commitments to myself about being healthy, about not drinking, about spending less and saving and paying off debt, about working harder, about, did I say spending less? Yeah, about like slowing the fuck down, basically. I couldn't understand like what the fuck is wrong with me. Why is it so easy for most people to make life changes, and why is it so hard for me? And now, you know, these realizations were kind of, I mean, they've been around for a while, but becoming a coach at the same time was a real mindfuck, because coaching is all about helping people, walking people through their obstacles. And any neurotypical person is going to have an easier time than neuroatypical people, or people with trauma, or people with physical health issues or neurological issues. And I fall into a couple of those categories, so I found myself learning to become a coach to help guide people through problems that I couldn't get through myself. Which, first of all, made me question coaching, and second of all, much more powerfully, made me question myself. Third of all, made me question my worth as a coach. Like, can I coach other people through stuff that I don't believe that I can get through? Can I coach other people through stuff that I have failed to coach myself through? To be fair, it helps to have a coach, and I haven't for a while, but I think that's much besides the point. I kept asking myself, where is my integrity? Where is my willpower? Where is my agency? And I don't know how to answer the question of how things changed. I have been sober and on a very restrictive diet for 43 days now. The last time I did this was 3 years ago. I made it to 45 days and quit. I was trying to get it to 90. I made it 45 days and quit. I was only booze free, but I was eating all of the other dumb shit. And I didn't feel good at all. I felt so disconnected from people. I felt disconnected from the world. I was depressed. But I had a partner at the time. So in a way I had comfort that I don't have now. But it was also a really, really stressful, manipulative, toxic relationship. And I kind of look back and think, oh, no wonder you didn't feel good. No wonder you didn't feel any better. To be fair, I don't necessarily feel a whole lot better now, but I don't feel nearly as disconnected as I did then. That time, I remember going out to shows and things, and what I would say to people close to me is, this feels like watching a movie of other people having fun. Now, granted, I haven't been out that much in the past 43 days. I'd say like 5 times max. Probably less, which is crazy for me. But I didn't feel like that. I felt calm. I was aware of my social anxiety that came and went, but I felt generally comfortable. I didn't feel so outside of everything. So at least there's that. So it's been 43 days. I've been on a very restrictive diet, so all like gluten, dairy, sugar, alcohol are all out of my diet, but also every other major allergen, so nuts initially, eggs initially, soy, corn. Also a list of food intolerances from a test I did 6 months ago. Food sensitivities, I think, is the more accurate term. Things that my gut might be like, blueberries, but that slipped through the gut lining last week and we attacked it, so we think it's an enemy. I'm going to inflame your entire body and make sure that you can't think ever again. It's my impression of my stomach. So it was a list of all the major allergens, a list of all the food sensitivities I have, and then a list of all of the things that might be hard for my gut. So salads, raw vegetables have been out this whole frickin' time. Beans I've taken out as well. I love beans, y'all. Fucking love beans so much. So that's been out. And just a number of other random things. And I've been taking tons of probiotics, a couple supplements, like L-glutamine, fish oil, things like that. I've been eating probiotic foods and taking probiotic pills. Been taking collagen, drinking bone broth, lots of things like that. Mostly it's been meat and vegetables. And I also found some interesting grain-free chips. And I pulled back in some nut butter at behest of my doctor. But I'm not actually sure if that's good for me. Anyway, I don't need to go into all of those details, but it's been a trip. It's been an absolute trip. So during this time, I haven't gone out very much. And then the pandemic hit, and now it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to go out, I guess. I'm not supposed to see my friends. And, like, some of my close friends are hibernating. They don't think it's okay to actually be anywhere near other people. So I'm like, okay, well, guess I'll just hang out and be single here for a while. I have no pets. I have no family. Not a whole lot of friends going on. So it's just been... And when I think about going out, I'm like, well, then I have to do it sober. And I have social anxiety, so that's less appealing. So I've just been super isolated. It's totally the opposite of my life before this. Before 43 days ago. So... it feels like I'm in a different dream, or that I am starting to wake up from a dream I was having. It's really hard to describe. I feel like I have no strong sense of ego or sense of identity to kind of fall back on because I hadn't. That's something you don't develop when you have childhood trauma, and if you continue to be in relationships that are triggering or abusive, you continue to give your identity away or become a mirror for someone or become whatever they want. So I didn't really have a sense of stability or a sense of meanness. And a lot of people I think who know me would be like, you don't have a sense of identity? Like, you're one of the most unique, weird, out there people I know. Like, yeah, I know, but that's this. That's not like in here stuff, you know what I mean? And I don't, there's some weird, deep psychological shit about this, the sense of self that I do not yet understand. I keep trying to read about it, but it's there's either nothing or it's like really obscure, hard to understand stuff. I don't really entirely understand how the self works, but I'm still figuring that out as I build my own sense of self. Oh my god, what was I talking about? Right, so these two lives I've lived are very strange. One of the things, I think I brought this up already, one of the things I've noticed in this time is that although a lot of those things that I have been packing my life with are beautiful, for example, I work with a group called Kala. Kala is making software. Kala has a record label here in Olympia, Washington for bringing Japanese music over to the States. We put on shows in Tokyo and in Seattle. We document music in Tokyo and Seattle. They used to have a radio show in Tokyo. That's a really wonderful thing. It's gotten me over to Japan. It's made me a whole lot of new international friends. I love supporting the music scene here through that. But sometimes I wonder, how much am I motivated to do that because I feel like it makes me a good person? Like, as long as I'm supporting the music scene in some big way. Like, I can't just be going to shows. That's not enough. I have to be doing it in some kind of big way. And as long as I'm doing that, then I'm doing what I need to be doing to be a good person. Meanwhile, at the same time, I've been trying to figure out how to rejoin a revolutionary socialist group because I like the revolution, man. And I feel like I should be someone who is doing activism, you know? I need to be doing activism. I need to be involved. I shouldn't be an armchair activist. I should be out there learning, organizing, and doing stuff. And I joined a group and I was like, I don't have bandwidth for this on top of everything else I'm doing. But I felt if I don't do this, I'm a bad person. So my main motivation was not just out of love and excitement and passion, but was out of fear, you know? So that's two things that are a little bit of both, you know? Being in a band, I am constantly feeling behind. I'm constantly feeling like I'm not doing enough. I'm not writing enough. I'm not branding the band. I'm not booking the band enough. I feel like I have to take on the whole world and do it perfectly or else I'm not doing good enough. And being single and being sober and in isolation of sorts, being sober and solo and just slowing down a lot has made it really obvious the things that are a massive drain on my energy that I'm taking way too much responsibility for, and how negatively trying to juggle all of those things impacts my mental health. And that list I just gave is like 3 of 10 or more things. I have 6 Instagram accounts now that I manage, and that's at least 6 Facebook pages and 6 Facebook inboxes, in addition to the like 5 email accounts I have that all go to my one Gmail account that I'm constantly checking. And 2 of them are businesses: Live Louder, my coaching business, and Kala, which is also a business. So I'm trying to develop 2 businesses at the same time. I've been trying to work on my health. I've been trying to read more. I've been trying to do all this stuff. Develop my spirituality. Oh my god. This is unsustainable. And very recently, in the past 3 or 4 days, I've been turning off social media from 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. roughly. I have to dip in because there are obligations that I have on a number of different projects right now that I have to check in on, or really should if I want to make sure that those projects are going well. So I've learned how much having obligations is a drain on me. I've learned how much being scattered is a drain on me, and makes it impossible to really fully focus and give my entire energy to one project, you know what I mean? And that project should always, right now, be Live Louder. It should be my coaching business. And I wonder how I benefit from spreading myself thin, you know? That's what I'm talking about right now, I guess. And all the social media dings and flashes and vibrations and constantly going back and forth between different conversations with tons of people, and then feeling obligated to get back to everybody and feeling like a bad friend or a bad person if I don't get back to everybody, and if everything's not perfect and someone criticizes me for it. It's like just way too much fucking stress for me. And I've been letting, from the beginning of the 6 years to very recently, like, this noise just got like, you know, like, just got crazier and crazier because I keep trying to take on more than I can fucking handle. And good job, Rowan. Like, it's noble, you know, but it's also people pleasing. And it's love based, but it's also fear based. And I'm in a position now, thanks quarantine, to really do a deep dive into myself, into my relationship with these responsibilities and these passion projects, into my relationship with love and finances and fitness and identity and magic and connection with friends and my self-value, so many different things. Where are we at? Almost 40 minutes. I think I can probably wrap up shortly. So I've been on all these different personal development journeys kind of all at once. And it has been really, really, really interesting. Being alone, I do have someone I would call a lover, but we suddenly, which has nothing to do with me, actually, or nothing to do with our relationship in a way, we suddenly had this 5-week setup, the situation, span of time, where we didn't see each other because he was dealing with some stuff, you know? And it's harder for me to get out because I'm dealing with some stuff. And I was used to, you know, having some affection on and off, like, roughly weekly, you know? So I've been basically detoxing from sex and affection and that type of connection, which I rely on so much, and so much more than I rely on my friendships, because I always feel much more connected to someone I feel romantic love for. I feel safer with that person than I feel with any of my friends. Sorry, friends. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to develop close friendships, because that's gotten harder and harder for me over the years. And being vulnerable and staying connected with people is a little bit harder when you can't see them face to face. I have been, before any of this started, like I said, I kind of had a coming to, what did they say? Come to Jesus? a come to Jesus moment about my finances. I can only work so much. I can only work so many hours because of my brain fog and my fatigue right now, which I am working on by doing this detox. I can only work so many hours, but I'm still dealing with so much debt, which takes up so much of my income each month, plus trying to actually pay taxes, which is freaking like 30% of your income. It's crazy. And it's still really expensive to live in Seattle, even if I'm not going out and not really spending money on anything right now. I realize that I'm not going to get out of this hole that I'm in debt-wise. I'm not going to have any savings unless I move the fuck out of my apartment in Seattle and maybe find a way to live rent-free for a little while, whether it's like move into a van, live with my parents for a minute, go to Bali or Mexico or somewhere where it would be beautiful and cheaper to live. And that was my come to Jesus? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. I would like to come to Jesus. He's really hot, is all I'm saying. Every version of the story, Jesus is hot. I'm not sure where I'm going with that. So before this pandemic hit, I had decided, fuck, I need to make like a major decision. I need to spend $3,000 getting out of my apartment lease. I need to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a van. I'll do it in credit, and then I'll be paying a little more monthly for debt, but a lot less monthly for rent, right? And I'm like, okay, over 6 months, I'll be able to save up so many thousands of dollars or whatever. And that will be my buffer, so in case I don't have any, if in case my freelance work dries up or coaching doesn't get off the ground in that time, that I will have a buffer and a backup in savings. And then this fucking pandemic happened, and I am so grateful for the life I live. I'm very, very, very privileged. And I'm still stressed out because now I don't know what's going to happen. We're all dealing with this uncertainty, and my particular version of that is I don't know if I should get a van. I don't know if I should leave this apartment. I don't know, even when my lease is up, if I will be able to move in with my parents or if it will be a risk to their health. I don't know how to save money. I need to spend money in order to save money. How do I do that? How do I build my business in my free time when I can't think, when I feel like falling asleep? So I'm in this very like stuck place, and it's forced me to surrender to the fact that I don't have any control over certain things. It's forced me to spend time with myself, get used to spending time with myself, start loving spending time with myself and becoming comfortable with it. It has forced me to do a lot of deep diving about what I really want, about what is good for me to be doing and spending my time on, about who I think I am, about who I want to be with in my life, what kind of support I need from connections to friends or to lovers or partners or family. It's been giving me an opportunity to slow down, an opportunity to work on my identity, an opportunity to work on my connection to self, an opportunity to rewire my brain to be okay in my body, in my trauma body, to basically be healing my trauma a little bit at a time. It's given me an opportunity to read books. I've been churning through books like I haven't in years, and it's been so great. And it's given me an opportunity to just learn how to relax, learn how to be okay, not being super hyper-productive. Granted, I'm still doing all of these projects. I haven't put any of them down, but some of them have kind of a grace period of like, we don't really know what's going on right now, so nothing's really happening, which has been an absolute relief, actually. And I'm realizing that although I don't necessarily have to choose one path, I think I do have to narrow down the things I'm doing in my life. And I have to learn to be okay with myself. If, for example, I were to focus on only, and this isn't going to happen, but only live louder, I have to recognize that that is my socialist activism too. And I can't spend a bunch of effort getting down on myself for not being a revolutionary, Coaching people is revolutionary. I have to remember that. And let's say if I were only to do freelance design and my band, that's the same thing. I'd have to recognize that the band is then my activism. The band is my passion project. The band is me making the world a better place, me discovering myself, all that stuff. So that's a pretty good lesson to learn, I think. This is a moment of intense pressure, formulating the diamond or formulating the pearl or whatever. And that's when the good stuff is made. That's when self-actualization actually happens. This is basically one big underworld journey. But like I said, I think the pressure is an apt metaphor to add to that. It's like an underworld journey that's been condensed, 7 underworld journeys at once. And I know that from history, from my experience, I know that underworld journeys will take you through really, really dark places. They will put you in places where you feel completely and utterly alone, terrified, even just really uncomfortable, you will lose things. You will lose people, you will lose experiences, you'll lose attachments, you'll lose all kinds of stuff. And almost all of my crutches and the things that I lean on to feel safe and to feel validated in the world have been taken away from me on my way down the stairs, to meet up with Hades or to meet up with the Dark Goddess, whomever you want to be talking to when you're down there. I'm a big Hades fan myself. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing Spit in the Well, my old band's shirt, and there's Hades and Persephone on it. Hades and Persephone on my chesticles. Anyway, so I am very grateful to be on this underworld journey. I feel pretty good, all things considered, but also constantly frustrated because some of my symptoms have gone away, like the psoriasis has gone away. Like my digestion is still kind of screwed up. My joints are still pretty screwed up. I'm still really tired all the time, and in fact, I'm aware of being so much more tired than I was when I was drinking. Pretty interesting. Also, really fucking dehydrated all the time. So, in a way, I feel better because a lot of the noise has gone away, and I feel like more things of substance are showing up. My spirituality, my connection to the world, and my connection to myself, and kind of, time. Underlying frameworks of the world and my experience in experiencing the world are much more obvious now. But I'm frustrated because my health feels even more of an obstacle than it was before. Like, now I should, almost 45 days in, I should feel better. I should be moving forward. I should be strong and capable and energized. Yay! But actually, that's not what happens when you quit drinking. That's not what happens when you have trauma. All this stuff, it's either never going to let up or it's at least going to take some time. I should at least give it 3 to 6 months. But some of these things, like the dopamine system that alcohol hijacks, can actually take 14 months of sobriety and abstinence to fix. So in other words, I might not be very happy about anything for 14 months. Unless I had some alcohol, and then I would be like happy about that. That would trigger dopamine in my body. But other things in my life aren't really triggering dopamine, which would explain why I feel emotionally very flat. I have ups and downs. I have some good ups and some downs, but for the most part, I have been emotionally flat. So anyway, I want to wrap this up. I'm very grateful to be on this journey. I'm looking forward to seeing Hades down in the underworld again because he is such a beautiful, wonderful, generous lover. And being in the underworld means that I will be getting all kinds of spiritual treasure and possibly material treasure in the world. Who knows? Or emotional treasure, maybe I should put it. And I know this generally leads to good things, and I think I am privileged in being able to say that. Perhaps I will lose some things forever, and perhaps some things will be hindered and much harder for me for the next few years, depending on how this situation plays out economically or health-wise or situationally, whatever. But here I am. This is me, March 22nd, 2020, 36 and 9/10 years old. In the underworld. So I don't know who just listened to all that, but thanks. I hope some of this was valuable to your journey. I hope some of it was relevant. Maybe there's some information or some validation in here for you. I'm going to sign off. I wish you all the best on your hero's journeys and your path of the full. Take care of yourself. I love you. I believe in you. Trust your brain and keep going. All right.